Hey guys, are you having trouble getting syntax highlighting to work on your Raspberry Pi? Nano is typically my go-to editor, especially when I'm working on files using SSH or even the terminal. But not having code or scripts show up color-coded when I'm working on these definitely makes it super annoying. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to install Nano improved syntax highlighting. And then we can get it configured to show syntax colors for your favorite programming languages, including Python, Java, PHP, and just about any other file type that you can think of. So let's first start by SSHing into your Raspberry Pi, or you can just start a new terminal session. We need to run a command that's going to install support for nanorc syntax highlighting. And you can find this in the video description for you to copy and paste. This should be fairly quick since all it's doing for the most part is pulling a bunch of nanorc files. Next, you'll see that if you jump to your Raspberry Pi's /home/pi/.nano folder, nearly every programming or scripting language extension has its own nanorc file. But if you're scratching your head, don't worry. There's not much you need to do here, but for any language that you use in your day-to-day activities, just get familiar with how these are named here. For the most part, these will be straightforward, like python.nanorc, for example. Next, let's jump back to our SSH or terminal session on our Raspberry Pi. We'll be running the following sudo nano command to open up the .nanorc file. Notice how each file we saw earlier in the .nano folder is being included here. It means we're adding syntax highlighting support for each of those languages by telling our shell to pick up on those configurations. As you can see, the Python file I was looking at earlier is being included on this file. So let's test this out by modifying a Python file using Nano. And voila. You can now see how comments, method parameters, and strings are now all being highlighted. However, if you noticed, I didn't use sudo for the previous nano command because we opened nano with our current user. But if I open that same file using sudo nano, it unfortunately doesn't have syntax highlighting support yet. And the reason for that is because we need to specifically add the include command for the super user's nanorc configuration. So let's do this by modifying that file using sudo nano, which is located in /etc. Let's jump all the way to the bottom of the file and include the full path of any missing nanorc files. This is why I mentioned earlier to become familiar with how each of these are named so you can easily reference them. And by the way, I'm just doing this for Python, but you should do it for however many that you need support for as a sudo user for Nano. So once you're done, just hit Ctrl X followed by Y and then hit enter to save changes to the nanorc file. You may have to kill your terminal or SSH session and relaunch it for these changes to kick in. But after you do, just run the same nano command from earlier using sudo, and boom, you'll see that syntax highlighting works for situations where you need to use sudo with nano. So whether you're using bash or zsh as your shell, you should now be fully equipped with syntax highlighting support for your Raspberry Pi. And hopefully you don't murder your eyes anymore when you're working with code or scripting. Thanks for watching, and for more on Raspberry Pi, please consider subscribing to this channel.